Oh, it was a very long time ago, back when I didn't know you yet. Before this whole genre started, there was a game that started it all. Yeah, I really liked it back then, but now I realize how bad it is compared to JJS. Actually, we can check it out together. Combat. Combat is very important, especially in a fighting game. JJS's fighting feels smoother, more responsive, and overall better. If you look into TSB's fighting, you'll notice that most of it is just poking the air trying to land a hit, and it mostly relies on prediction, at least on my 110 ping. JJS's fighting feels like an actual game outside of Roblox, each hit landing with fair ranges outside of some specific scenarios, but even then they appear far less than in TSB. A key factor in immersiveness of a fist fight is the camera. You can notice how far you can zoom out in TSB and how far you can zoom out in JJS. Yes, TSB's camera allows you to customize how much you can see, but limiting the view makes fights feel up close and personal. JJS also made fights feel more realistic by changing one simple thing. They changed dashes. If you compare how far dashes go in JJS and TSB, you'll notice a big difference. Most fights happen at this range. This is the side dash range, which is a distance between you and the enemy that is the length of a side dash. Now look at the same side dash range in TSB. Yup, sometimes if players are passive or have not engaged in combat yet, they'll be slightly outside of the side dash range, which is called neutral. This is how it looks like in JJS, and this is how it looks like in TSB. See the difference? Because of ping and the difference between M1 and dashes, it creates a dynamic where high ping players are forced to predict where the enemy is going rather than directly where they are. TSB also has backdashes, which turn any high-level fight into a battlegrounds dance. You just dash around each other and hope something hits. You can't tell me this is not what is happening in the background gameplay. As far as I understand, JJS uses client-sided hitboxes, while TSB uses server-sided hitboxes. This is also really important because it allows plays like M1 catch or just a walking M1, meanwhile in TSB the opponent attacks you while they have not dashed yet. I'll go over this later in passive play section. Combos. Next important thing are combos. In TSB, every single character has some sort of an OP combo that does at least 80% of your HP. Nearly each one has a true combo that does at least a third of your health. Just look at this combo that I got hit with in ranked recently. This does 3/4 of my health, and there's literally nothing I can do as it doesn't ragdoll me. The starter character just casually rips 75 HP off of you with no room to do anything. In JJS, only a handful of characters can do that, since more skills ragdoll and hit, unlike in TSB. In TSB, there are a lot of different techs that allow combo extensions, which creates insanely stupid scenarios where a character can deal up to 90 damage, if not more, with just a single combo. Lastly, a detail you'll notice in a lot of combo showcases is that every move in TSB ragdoll for the same exact 3 seconds. This means that every single move that ragdolls the opponent close can continue your combo into a down slam, which makes it look awful as the opponent is laying down for half of your combo. JJS has two systems to avoid this issue. Firstly, moves generally do not ragdoll for so long, and secondly, even if you do find an opening to do so, the opponent will gain a big boost to their evasive meter. Let's look at the combo potential of the second character from both games. In JJS that will be Yuji, and TSB will have Garo. Both of them have a relatively similar kit, making this comparison fair. On screen you're currently seeing the biggest potential with combos possible. Yes, both characters deal over 130 damage. The difference is, Yuji's opponent would have gained their evasive when they were low, but Garo's opponent has no way of escaping this combo, assuming both opponents messed up their evasive. Plus, Yuji has to land 18 black flashes and it requires him to be behind the opponent, otherwise it doesn't count. But that's the peak performance of both players. Now let's look at a more casual combo. See how TSB still did more damage than JJS? Yes, that's what I'm talking about. And it's not just Garo, it's every single character in TSB. Everyone has at least one full combo that does over 80 damage without the use of any fancy ping dependent text. Even without any combos, a lot of characters just do crazy damage from landing their moves. But you know, to land a combo, your opponent must not use their evasive during it, otherwise you'll miss it, which brings me to my next point: evasives. Evasives and overall pacing of the fight is done far better in JJS rather than in TSB. In TSB, evasives recover after about 30 seconds. In JJS, it requires you to either deal damage or take damage. This way, if you use your ragdoll cancel early, you still have another chance. If players are passive, the only thing regenerating is their health, while in TSB, the losing player can just play passively until they get their ragdoll cancel back, essentially giving them a cheap way to win fights. TSB's evasive timer also allows you to take insane damage, as I said in the combo section, meaning if you have a bad evasive and you're caught early, you're cooked on the spot. With that said, an important takeaway from this section is that JJS's fights take longer than fights in TSB, and therefore people get more experience out of any fight, meaning each kill feels more deserved and the fight looks like an actual fight and not a fencing match. However, if TSB fights are long, it's not a good thing either. Due to how TSB fighting works, the most profitable way of playing is passive. Being passive is easy in TSB due to the sheer existence of backdash. You basically never risk getting punished because of attacking, and it makes the problem of TSB fights turning into a psychokinesis contest. Most movesets in TSB do not allow you to move or dodge faster than regular dashes, which just sucks. As I mentioned previously, TSB uses server-sided hitboxes. To be fair, it feels a bit fair when you do land your hit, because then you know there isn't any way you couldn't have hit your attack. However, not only does it make the game significantly more ping dependent, it also rewards passive play a lot. You can just jump around and tease your opponent while waiting for them to make a move so you can quickly go punish it. It's also dumb from the perspective of the defender. Everything is happening on a telepathic level and you just don't know where you should block to actually defend an attack. In JJS, if a person does that, you can react accordingly and block your back, as can be seen a lot in the footage Newbie got. Characters also get a lot more tools to bypass defense, spicing up the gameplay by making a lot of the characters interesting in neutral. JJS's fighting feels responsive, unlike in TSB. One of the most important things in fighting games is understanding what your opponent is doing or has done. TSB lacks that due to poor visual effects. Let's look at an example you'll notice the most and what was one of the first things I noticed when I transitioned into JJS: blocks. Hitting a block in TSB gives you a quiet sound. And that's it. You don't get anything else. If you did hit your opponent, you'll hear a sound, feel a slight drag towards them, and see the flinch of your opponent. In JJS, if someone hits your block, it plays an audible hit sound, and your character does a noticeable flinch, as well as slowing the attacker's M1s down to allow punishment. If you land your attack in JJS, you get an audio cue and your opponent glows white for a split second. JJS's fighting feels more responsive. Sometimes, when an opponent hits my block, I'm still unsure whether or not I should attack back because I can't be certain that they made a mistake. That little thing that shows me when a person hit my block is what makes JJS better. It's always the small things that matter the most. I will admit, some of TSB's cutscenes blow JJS completely out of the water, but I'd rather have M1 trails and hit confirming VFX than awakenings. The first thing you'll notice in JJS is that they don't heal your entire health bar. Ults vary in how much they heal, but none of them give you a full health bar if you're low. That's a fair trade-off, as if you're using an awakening mid-battle and you're already damaged, it leaves your opponent with a chance of beating you. In TSB, however, awakenings refill your HP bar completely. This forces the other player to practically win the fight twice in a row or use an awakening of their own. Ult v ult fights though aren't that interesting in TSB because obviously everyone either has a move that does over a third of your health in a single move or just straight up insta-kills you. Saitama ult insta-kills, Garu's final hunt does 75%, Genos' speed blitz dropkick does 49%, Sonic has a basically unmissable move that does 39%, Metal Bat and Atomic Samurai have insta-kills, Tatsumaki's terrible tornado does 95%, and Suryu's last breath does 85%. Another factor that comes with ultimates is that they can ruin a lot of 1v1s. Both games have tools that ruin whatever fighting is going on. The thing is, TSB's moves just destroy way too much of the map. Every dang ultimate has a move that explodes everything around you in a 20-meter radius, outside of maybe Sonic. If you compare the biggest moves in JJS and TSB, you will see it so clearly I don't even need to comment on any of this. There's so much more to do in JJS than in TSB that I literally had to cut most of this section off as to not make this video go on too long. So instead, let me just speed blitz through them. JJS has free private server features and they have custom movesets, dummy blocks, NPC blocks, gates, multiple free build saves, and workshop where you can find other people's custom movesets and custom maps. JJS has a server browser where you can join into these custom servers without the need of searching for stuff in a Discord server. JJS has Creator Clash where you can fight people with the custom movesets you have created or the ones you found in the workshop. JJS has Roulette, which has tons of different game modes, all with various levels of shenanigans. JJS has items on the map and item deliveries, allowing for a little bonus for your next fight or can be used to troll people. JJS has karaoke and a train you can summon. JJS has a better map due to stuff being on it instead of it being a flat base plate. JJS has Destruction, which only ruins fights if you're genuinely being competitive in public servers, but on the flip side it creates very cinematic fights where you can go from outside to a building to the subway in just a single fight. JJS has Parkour, adding movement options to any characters and increasing the options that you have in battle. JJS has move variants, and it's not just air variants. Some characters get nearly separate movesets from this. JJS has daily and weekly quests, and there's probably more that I haven't mentioned. The final thing that puts the last nail in TSB's coffin and puts JJS as the winner, at least in my eyes, is the update time. TSB hasn't updated in 9 months. You heard me right, 9 months. In that time, JJS updated about 16 times. If we look at the time the last public character released in TSB, Suiryu, you'll find out that it's been quite a dang while. If you're looking at this video on May 7th, it's officially been 500 days since the release of the last public character in TSB. In that time, JJS updated countless times. What characters have been released since then, you may ask? Well, we got Toro, Higuruma and his rework, Yuta, Mekamaru, Naoya, Nanami, Kogaya, Yuki, Charles, Haruta, Meimei, and Heian Era Sukuna. It's baffling how much the TSB devs are trying to make their moves high quality when Roblox games don't really need that. The devs bit more than they could chew and now they're dealing with the RobTop 2.2 cycle. And I know that the update might be awesome, but just like how it was with the Monster Garo update, it's not gonna be worth the 9-month update drought. I don't know, mind finishing the video for me?